and expedited processing have been operationalized. Pending bills, the tourism sector, like many other sectors, has a lot of pending bills, and that's in progress.
So that we don't come back to them. I think Davies here has a progress report on flights, the flights that I think the industry wanted us to provide more additional capacity, give more airlines opportunity to carry especially cargo out of Kenya, because I think the cost of cargo was uncompetitive. Is that what was the issue? So Davis, we have made some progress. Can Davis report to us some progress on that?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Like has been mentioned with Turkish Airline and Qatar Airline, Your Excellency, we've done some significant work, including what has been mentioned with respect to signing code sharing. And as Kenyans, Your Excellency, what we learned in this industry is, albeit the challenges we have with our own airline, we can leverage on our established airspace and development in the aerospace industry in Kenya to negotiate for things like code sharing and ensure that even when we do not have enough aeroplanes to basically facilitate the freighters, the challenge that we've had with the green produce, where the cost of freight you could consider it to be a low value item, because the cost per kilogram of vegetable and the cost of electronics, Your Excellency, the freighters would tend to shift to high value freight and leave us disparate. So inside of the code sharing and some of the things we are doing with Kenya Airways to leverage on the Kenya advantage would be to ensure that we take advantage of the fact that whereas we have bilateral air transport agreements, and whereas we may not have equipment to basically reciprocate the kind of frequencies that would actually demand of other airlines, we are now negotiating on code sharing and therefore being able to leverage on our own advantage and ensure that we push for advantage for our local market. And so we are doing a lot of work, even as we speak today, with Fly Dubai, with the Emirates, so that as we allow more frequencies, we ensure that we address the challenges that we have in the freighters and therefore be able to uptake most of our green produce, albeit the challenge of the value of green produce vis-a-vis the high-value electronics, where freighters tend to migrate when the freight volumes are of significant value around Christmas time in other markets. So a lot of work has been...
Davis, can you speak specifically to how many extra flights are there now? I think we have 3 or 4 or 5 extra flights, one to Gatwick, which we approved, and I was there in London when it met the inaugural flight. We have other flights that have been allowed to ease the burden of exports from Kenya, or exporters.
Thank you, Your Excellency. With specifics to BA, they did apply for frequencies into Nairobi from Heathrow, and we allowed them 3 additional frequencies. We have 3 additional frequencies per week into Gatwick, and within these frequencies, we basically really drilling down to take advantage of the challenge, like I said, where we don't have enough equipment. Like has been mentioned by Carol, we now have the frequencies into Istanbul by Turkish Airline, and of course the code sharing work that we are doing. You know, Your Excellency, what it means is that we can actually sell airline tickets on KQ and you can fly Qatar. And therefore we are saying you don't necessarily, as a country with very developed airspace or aerospace you don't necessarily need to have enough equipment to overtake the number of passengers or the freighters that we need. We could actually sell tickets and fly on an airline that we share, that we have code sharing. And therefore, ground handling issues, where we could be handling, doing ground handling for Emirates, for Fly Dubai, for all these other airlines, and therefore be able to build our own industry as we continue to collaborate, albeit the BASA requirements. So, Your Excellency, a lot of work is happening in that space. We have a meeting tomorrow just to finish between the Minister for Tourism, the Minister for Trade, and the Minister for Agriculture to also look at what are we losing sometimes when we don't quite give frequencies that have been requested of us as a country to other airlines because we could be seen to be overprotecting Kenya Airways, without due consideration for the tourism sector, the trade, and the agricultural sector, fresh produce. So we'll be looking at data to be able to really deploy a more scientific way of allowing frequencies and ensuring that even as we secure our interest in KQ, we are able to support tourism, support trade, and support agriculture. Thank you.
What is the industry feel? What are we doing enough? Are we not? What does the industry think?
The chair of Kenya Tourism Federation is right there.
Okay. The chair.
Then the Flower Council is also here.
The Flower Council can give us some feedback.
Morning, everyone. I would like to read the protocols, Mr. President. Our concern, I'm happy that my CS is here. Our concern mostly is to implore the government to open frequencies into Mombasa. You will not grow tourism in Mombasa if you don't allow direct charters into Mombasa to boost on the numbers. As we see today, I think we have 3 charters already working. There's been a lot of conversation about TUI charter, which I think was not granted. TUI group was not granted. I think the application they had, the first one was not correct. The second application that we would request the government to help them do is the charter, not a scheduled flight, but a charter. If you can offer them that charter, it will actually boost the numbers in Mombasa. We also need to go back to one more issue. You will not be able to get value for tourism in Mombasa, Diani, and Malindi until you correct the issue of beach boys. Why is that so? Your competition, Zanzibar, Mauritius, Seychelles, have got more what I would call cleaner beaches than what we have on our side. We have got the best beaches, but the fact that our beaches allow trade actually at the floor of the beach, it actually keeps away tourists. So we are really, really requesting that we go back to the issue of beach boys, figure out if we can have a common market away from the beach line, move them there, and allow the hotels to now upgrade their beaches to be able to attract higher markets.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
A Flower Council, and then we will take both of them in one shot. Who is the Flower Council person?
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. My name is Ogambi. I work for the Shippers Council of Eastern Africa. I want to start by appreciating the response by Honorable the CS in terms of what's being done. I would like to speak the issue of limited capacity, especially during the peak seasons. And this is occasioned often when freighters leave the country for more lucrative routes. And this affects the price, reliability, and availability of capacity for exports. What that entails is, His Excellency, is the exporter is not certain of getting capacity at the JKA and also has to incur increased costs for exports. So what are we asking, His Excellency? We are asking that the government considers short-term approval for freighters, especially during the peak seasons, so that this mitigates the gap and also assures the exporters that there's capacity for their produce. Needless to mention, and which is very important, we appreciate the government going into agreement with various countries, and EPA provides us with an enormous opportunity for exports. Now, we could get the markets, but without the transport, without the freighters, they are not able to achieve much on this. Secondly, His Excellency, is the issue about direct flights. A number of flights have to go through various routes before they go to the destination market. We are seeking of the government to consider and expedite approvals for direct freighters to the markets. And then lastly, His Excellency, the issue of cost. The fuel cost, the parking fees, and related costs at JKI are extremely expensive, so to speak. So we need to moderate this to ensure that we are able to attract more freighters that can sustain the exports of our produce. I thank you and I submit.
Thank you. So, Rebecca, do you want to say something about the... Let me just, before Rebecca responds, since the last time we had a conversation about the beach boys and our beaches, has there been any progress? Has there been... Have you engaged the ministry? Have you engaged the other stakeholders so that we can know? Because there must be an engagement, you know, because we cannot wake up one morning and tell everybody to leave. We need to have a structured way of doing this. Do you have any suggestions on how this can be done so that we can work together towards doing this? We don't mind, even if we have to build markets. You know, we have a whole program of building markets. We can dedicate certain areas where tourists can go, organize them into a proper market so that it is not littered all over the place.
I do know for a fact that we've spoken to the county government officials. I start with Mombasa, and if you check with Mombasa County, there's a piece of land that already bought during the Balala's tenure, and that land is actually government land in your hands that was meant to move beach boys to that as a market area. The problem is that after the land was bought, it was never developed. So that land is sitting there idle. So if you check with the team, they'll tell you where the land is. We've spoken both to Kwale County on the same issue. Kwale has the problem they have that they don't have an allocated space to take them. So as an industry, we cannot engage the beach boys if there is no place to take them, because that's a livelihood they're actually aching from that area. So what we are requesting, that's why we're coming direct now to you, not to the county officials, that we have a policy to work with a proper plan on where are they going. As far as it stands right now, we cannot engage them because there is no place marked for them to go.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
Rebecca, do you want to say something about this?
Thank you, Your Excellency. On the matter of the beach boys, I want to confirm that we were in Mombasa 3 weeks ago with the private sector. The progress that has been made, the county assembly now has a bill that has been tabled. That is the beach management bill, and the code of conduct has been drafted, and therefore on the legislative side, progress is very good. In terms of then a marketplace, it is true that there is a piece of land. We are working with the private sector, and we are working with Mombasa County, the tourism police unit, to sort out some encroachment. I also confirm that we have some money in the budget to sort out, including the lighting for the evening. And as has been reported, there is a proposal to organize the traders there, the beach boys, into cooperatives and organized entities so that we can sort out this matter. But a lot of weightlifting is with the Mombasa County government, but we are working together with the county government.
Okay. I hope you understand that there is need for collaboration between the national and the county governments. There is demonstrable progress because I think they also realize the importance of organizing the beach people into organized groups that we can support. Maybe what I can offer is if there are any challenges with resources to put up decent places for the beach people to carry out their business, between Rebecca and her colleague Alice Wahome, they should be able to find the resources to do a beach market for them. And we can do that as of immediate. We will then take some homework so that we can accelerate the work that is being done by the county government, so that it's not just in Mombasa. We can do the same with Kwale, we can do the same with Kilifi, and see how we can better organize that space. And so maybe in our December engagement, we should be able to give these good people some progress report. I would also suggest that the hoteliers in that industry should not fold their hands. You know, that is your ecosystem. There is a lot of social engineering that you can do with the beach boys. There is a lot that you can engage with them so that it is not us versus them. We need to find a way that we bring them on board so that they become part of the solution rather than, you know, a confrontation. I would suggest that we do that, and I will take it up with the counties responsible, with the governors, so that we can see what we can do. But Rebecca will take up that, and let's report some progress before the end of this year. Davis, do you want to speak to the issues that were raised? They have asked basically three things. They have said that there is a TUI fellow charter. What are we doing about charters? You know, that's number one. We need to speak directly to charters. Number two, is it possible for us to have short-term, you know, approvals during the peak season, so that we can have enough space and enough carriage capacity for our products into the market destinations? And then number three, is it true that maybe the fees that are charged are higher than other destinations? Can you maybe speak to those three things?
Thank you, Your Excellency. TUI applied for to come in as a charter. TUI is a flight out of Netherlands, Your Excellency, and we did allow them as a charter. But I think by the time they finished the schedules they had applied for under the charter, they continued to fly in at that time without due approvals. And we then stopped them because if they wanted to do scheduled flights, they needed to do that kind of application. And so we don't have a problem with TUI. We have since regularized we then regularized their charter. They have lately applied for schedule to Mombasa, and we are looking at that, and we don't have a problem with TUI. But like I said earlier, Your Excellency, and like I reported to you about 2 weeks ago, we've had a few meetings with my colleagues from trade, Lee, of course, Kagwe, Rebecca, and myself, with the industry, to basically, with Kenya Airways, to basically confirm when we are giving out schedules, do we take advantage of our competitiveness, and therefore, when tourism is pushing us to allow a charter, are we taking advantage only of tourism, equally taking advantage of freights, because a number of the flights they bring in will have enough belly bottom to be able to freight out some of the green produce. So what we'll be doing tomorrow is receiving a report from the technical teams to basically assure ourselves that when frequencies are applied for, We don't deny because we are overprotecting our own airline or we are overprotecting another airline in the expense of freight or tourism and so on, or KQ for that matter. So we don't have a problem with TUI. We are reviewing the application they have made this time to have scheduled flights into Mombasa, but last time they overstepped the approval where they were given the charter and they went on schedule against the bilateral air service agreement that was approved for that. And therefore, Your Excellency, to basically sum it all, we also learned that these frequencies are very competitive because they only come in when there is, the business is very high and they leave us down when the business is not good. And therefore, we are seeking to basically strike a balance through some of the things we are doing in code sharing and ensure that in spite of the challenge that we may not have enough equipment as KQ, they are able to basically come in on a win-win, and so that we do not only have freighters happening during the peak period, and therefore during the low season we don't have that support. So as we sign, as we negotiate and agree, we're really seeking to protect the interests of the industry and ensure that during the high they don't just skim, and during the low period we are left without the freighters. So we'll be having a meeting tomorrow with my colleagues to basically look at a number of these issues. They are actually, like I mentioned, Your Excellency, we are a very, very attractive destination. And sometimes the politics in the freight industry, where one airline may not want competition and influence a case of not approving one airline frequencies, again, so that anti-competitive practices. So as we do this, Your Excellency, let me assure the industry that we will ensure that the interest of the market, and that is why in allowing frequencies I've brought in MATIANG'I, I've brought in Kagwe and Rebecca to balance the interest, and of course KQ to balance the interest of the industry of the country in allowing frequencies and ensuring that we take the best of our tourism, we take the best of our green produce, and so on and so forth.
Short-term allowance for during the peak season, is that something?
That's not a problem at all, because we need to then pick up on the period like now when we are getting into the wild beast migration. And yes, we are allowing, and that's, for example, why BA has applied for the 3 additional frequencies.
What about short-term allowance for the peak season for flowers and all the other cargo? I think that's what they were more interested in.
In fact, the biggest challenge, Your Excellency, and we don't have serious regulations for cargo, for freighters. The biggest challenge is the value of our freights. The value on freighting flowers is between $1.5 to $2 for the flower industry to make money. But you will compare that with the freighters in high-value electronics, where they charge up to $8. And therefore, they leave us low and migrate to the high-value freights. And this is why, as we negotiate for some of the buses, we are seeking to take advantage of our attractiveness to make sure that they don't leave us down when we need them.
Okay.
I thank you.
One more thing you have not responded to. Is our destination more expensive than other destinations in terms of fees charged and all that?
Let's review that when we meet, Your Excellency.
Okay.
I thank you.
All right. So what I'm gathering from Davies is that there is already an industry-wide engagement, and there is need for a balance between the interests of the tourism industry, who want to bring in passengers, the interest of the Ministry of Agriculture and Trade, who want to lift cargo out of Kenya, and we want whatever frequencies that are made available in the flight space to help us sort out our challenge, so that those bringing tourists must also help us lift our cargo into the destinations that we want, and vice versa. So I think that is the balance that we need to strike. And that is why I think the Ministry of Transport has invited Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Trade, and Ministry of Agriculture into a conversation together with Kenya Airways and the private sector so that we can strike a balance and find an equilibrium between the interest of the various sectors. I'm told that Flower Council need to say something. Who is speaking on behalf of the Flower Council?
Teles is there, the CEO of Kenya Flower Council.
Where is
the chair is also here. Yeah.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, CS. We really appreciate that effort, and we also appreciate that the meeting that CS Transport mentioned took place, and Kenya Flower Council was the only private sector body invited. So we appreciate that the work has started and the conversation is ongoing. With the flights for tourism, every single flight is a massive benefit. 787, the Dreamliner, can add 10 to 15 tons of cargo. Each A350 is close to 20 tons, and every 777 is another 25 tons. So every single effort on tourism helps us as an industry, and we also help those airlines make those flights viable commercially by filling them. So we really appreciate that effort, and we hope we can continue to work with the government.
So in short, you are saying you support the effort to try and synergize what the frequencies we do in tourism, that they should be able to help us also lift cargo out of Kenya. And you think that engagement is correct? Okay, David, so proceed, and please involve the industry as much as you can. Sorry, I think we have taken longer than we should, but I think so that we can make progress.
That's fine. At least we are resolving the things on progress. So I'll move to the manufacturing sector. But even as I move there, Your Excellency, because something came up, I think,